Good afternoon, Miss Nino. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. So today we are going to be talking about Alex's achievement test scores. The test that we'll be reviewing is called the Comprehensive Test of Achievement. This test measures what skills a student has learned in different content areas. There are two specific areas, the norm reference area and the criterion reference area. So this is the norm and this is the criterion. The norm reference area measures how the student is doing compared with other students who are in the same age or in the same grade who took the same test before it was released. The norm group consists of 10,000 students across grade levels and different socioeconomic levels. The criterion reference area gives information on how a student performs on a specific standard or objective as an individual. Let's have a look at the top portion first, okay? The first column shows the subtests and the totals. The second column shows the number of items. The third column shows the raw score, the national percentiles, the scaled scores, the percentiles, as well as the bands.
Okay, that sounds good. What do I need to know about my child's test scores?
I will let you know soon, but first I will explain the subtests. The subtests, which is on this side, consist of reading, mathematics, language, listening, spelling, science, and social studies. The basic battery consists of reading, math, and spelling, so it is basically everything except for social studies and science. The complete battery is the total scores of how the student did on all of the tests. Do you have any questions so far?
What does the reading subtest consist of exactly?
So the reading subtest consists of vocabulary, word analysis, and reading comprehension. For example, in a reading comprehension question, Alex would read a passage and then answer questions about it. So let's look at the total number of items on the section and his raw score. Okay, raw score and the number of items. The raw score is how many he got right, and the total number is how many were tested. He got 33 out of 40 correct.
Okay, so I see that he is in the 68th percentile. What does that mean exactly? Is that good or bad?
So we're going to refer to the bell curve. So on the bell curve, the 68th percentile means that he scored above average compared to other norm group because of the 50 percentile is about average. So 68th percentile is here, and the 50th percentile is here. So he's in the average group. Or he scored above average, I'm sorry.
Okay.
He scored better than 68% of the students, which puts your child above average. Let's take a look at the symbols under percentile bands. So we can go back to the first sheet, percentile bands. This represents the standard error of measurement in the test. So if Alex took the test every day for a week, he would be expected to score in the 68th to 71st percentile in reading comprehension.
Okay, so I see that the symbol for problem solving in math section looks to be a little on the lower end. Did they score below average in this section?
So he did score in the normal range, but on the lower end. I would suggest this website called Problem Solving Skills Mathematics, which involves problem solving skills in the form of games so that it is more interactive.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. As for the scaled scores, this shows how Alex might grow over several years when compared to the same norm group. Looking at reading comprehension again, so reading comprehension, we see that Alex's scaled scores are 548, just 548. Let's look back at the bell curve so I can show you what it means. So 548 is right here.
Okay.
You can see that the median score is 500, and your child scored above average at 548. This is very good.
So is the scaled score necessarily important, or is that just based off of test error?
It is more for the makers of the test, so the scale scores are based off of the test error due to the fact that the SEM, which stands for Standard Error of Measurement, which is right here, has to do with the percentile bands that we went over earlier. Instead, it is calculated from raw scores so that the scores can be averaged and compared since there are not any average percentiles.
Okay, so where does that put my child?
This puts Alex right where he should be. He is just a little bit low in some areas, but he has some really high scores as well. We can always work on those scores in the lower end. So now we are going to talk about the criterion reference information, which focuses on specific skills. It's going to be right here. It focuses on specific skills, performance, and how they do as an individual. This section shows the total number of items in the subtest, or number possible, and the number of questions the child got correct with the raw score, which is the raw score. That's going to be on this area right here. Depending on the number of questions that they got correct, they are ranked either high, medium, or low. So go ahead and take a look at those.
So I see that Alex has a low score on math procedures measurement. What does this mean and why does he have a low score?
First of all, a low score does not necessarily mean that he did bad. Let's take a look at the section titled Number Possible, just right here. That stands for number possible, NP. Now let's look at the section titled RS, which stands for raw score. That is the number of questions that they got correct. He got 5 out of 8 correct under measurement. Okay. The only reason it shows a low score is because there were not that very many questions. Let me show you some of his work in his portfolio. So here it shows that he is doing pretty well from what I can see. He really enjoys measuring things. We have done a couple of measuring activities in class, and he seems to grasp it easily. This tells me that there is nothing to worry about. Let's take a look at some of the areas that he really excels in. We'll go back to the comprehensive test of achievement sheet. For instance, under word analysis, just right here, and more specifically, structural analysis. So let's look at that, which is breaking down words to determine their meaning. He scored a 10 out of 10, so he got all of the answers in this section correct. In the life science subtest, which includes things that involve nature, animals, and plants, he got 100% of those correct. So he scored 7 out of 7, which equals to 100%.
He really enjoys nature activities such as going to the zoo and going to the park. He also really loves animals.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that. Let's look at an area that he may need more practice in. For example, numeration and math concepts. Okay. Numeration involves counting or numbering and the value of the number. Another area of improvement for Alex is the number facts under math procedures. Right here. I believe that this goes hand in hand with numeration because it involves counting numbers.
So is there anything that I can do to help him in these areas that he struggles in?
Yes, I can send him home a math puzzle game so that you can practice with him at home. It's a hands-on activity that will keep him interested instead of giving him worksheets and word problems to take home. Overall, there isn't a lot to worry about. He's a very hardworking student and seems to care about his grades. One thing that he is doing quite well in is his language arts. Language arts is on this area. He seems to be good at writing and he is very familiar with capitalization, punctuation, and sentence structure. I often see him writing during his free time.
I'm glad to hear that. Are there any other specific areas of concern that you have?
He doesn't seem interested in social studies as much. He scored a little low in those areas, as you can see right here. May I suggest books on historical figures which will help him improve his social studies scores and maybe even his English scores? Do you have any more questions for me?
No, but I would like an informational sheet to help me understand the test scores a little bit better.
No problem, I have that right here for you. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions, don't be hesitant to reach out to me. I am always available during my conference time or through text or email.
Okay.
Thank you so much.